GKFX Prime presents the Market Analysis Webinar.
Hello traders, and welcome back to another video. Once again, another weekly market analysis for you this week. We've got more charts, and if you have your own charts that you want to look at, comment down below, hit like, hit subscribe, and we'll have a look at your charts together. Gonna have a look at what we've got for this week in the markets. Let's see where we can get our high probability setups for the week. I've got a few set out as always. Let's begin. My name is Dima, and thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for giving me your time and being here. Welcome if you're new, and welcome back if you are watching this video once again for another week. So let's begin, shall we, with what we've got this week. On Monday, we've got speech from the Bank of England on the pound. On Tuesday, we've got yet another speech, and then we've got on the dollar consumer confidence. So let's have a look at the first 2 days, what happens there on the pound. Wednesday, we've got from Australia the CPI numbers, and then on Thursday, we've got the GDP figures on the dollar, and we've got the Treasury Secretary speaking there as well. So we want to watch out for that. $2 based news there on Thursday. That could be an interesting one. Then we've got Friday speech on the euro, and then on the same day we've got CPI numbers, inflation and unemployment. So that could be a significant one to watch out for, especially as we've got another speech on the same day. So if you're thinking about dollar-based pairs for this week, or euro dollar, we've got both euro, got dollar here, we've got dollar on Tuesday, and then on Friday on the CAD we've got GDP figures, and then on Swiss franc retail sales ending the week. So let's consider what we've got based on this news, and then see how that lines up with the charts and what we've got for the setups for this week. All right, so that's the economic calendar for the week's news, and let's have a look with what we've got this week, what I've set out for you. I've got a mixed bag as always. I've tried to vary it a little bit for this week based on what the charts are telling us, where the price action is going. So let's have a look at the markets once again. Okay, I'm going to start with the major one as always. Let's look at Aussie dollar. So here's Aussie dollar, and you may remember a few weeks back I was looking at this zone, this area, these 2 points of reference that I marked, and this possible area to look for, and we haven't yet got that. We've got some week that just dropped the market. We've got this inside bar, and then this last week took the high of the week and reversed, and now closed very bearish. So what this indicates is that we may yet reach this low, especially now as we've broken these structures below and we have not gone beyond this significant high up here. So let me just remove this old one, and I will still have this one as the frame of reference, as a target, 65. Let's put that here, 65.80 or so, 65.70, and then the next one down will be down here. So again, that is the 64.5, something like that. And if I just remove this box so it's easier to see. So these are the 2 reference points. So looking on the 4 hour in terms of getting an entry, then we want to see a nice better entry. So nice better entry would be in this zone here. You can draw a fib if you like from the previous high to the low, and you can see here's the 50 and here's the 61.8. So let me just adjust this. Somewhere within this area would be an interesting one to get a better price and then trade it to the downside. So I'll have a sell bias here on the Aussie dollar. We have not pushed higher. We have broken structures here, and then we could see this bearish price action. And then once we get to this level, then we'll see if we get further downside from there, which is another 100 pips away. But this will be the first point of reference. So I don't see any significant bullish action, which is why I am looking at this as the continuation to the downside, at least to this swing low. So in terms of probabilities to the downside for the moment, for this week at least, and then we'll go and see from there where we head to. Okay, let's move on now to another Aussie pair. So I'm going to go to Aussie CAD and let's have a look why Aussie CAD. So once again, I usually look at the weekly time frame, and a similar kind of picture. You have this level down here, which we bounced off this area, and the price action was not very strong. We had this bearish weeks and then brief pause to the upside, and then once again bearish. And then last week we continued bearish once again, similar to the Aussie dollar. So if you look on the higher time frame, you can see this sort of area right here being respected, so to speak. Coming down into the daily, we can see that we've gone through it, left a wick, and now it looks like we are moving further into the downside. So once again, looking here, we've got major breaks of structure, and the next thing I would expect is this low to be broken. So with this low, if it indeed breaks, what I'll be looking at is the next downside, which is this obvious low. So something like this break, pulling back to get a better price, and then continuing to the downside. That's the first target, and then the second target would be this obvious low down here. Or if you want to be a little bit more conservative, I would say that this low down here would be a much more reasonable place to aim for if we get a break through these lows. But for now, I am favoring the downside unless we have a point where the market goes back into this level. So obviously if we have the opposite happen and this happens, then this short would be invalidated, and yeah, I'm not really going to be looking anymore for that sell idea here, because the market breaking further higher, creating another higher high, would then invalidate this whole idea. But on the bigger time frame, I still see a little bit of more bearishness, more downside than I do upside, and aiming for this target here. So you can see that last week ending bearish, and then once again taking away the previous week's price action. Each time we've had this pullback, and then bang, market takes it away, another pullback, bang, takes it away. So we can see that here we closed very, very bearish and almost took out, almost engulfing the week before. So that's the idea on Aussie CAD. Okay, if I'm going too quickly here for you, by the way, then feel free to pause the video and watch it slower or rewind. So for now, I'm going to keep going. For those of you who are with me, let's have a look now at some pound pairs. Start with the euro pound, the bigger one, and what we can see here is, let me just remove these. We had this idea last time, but the market just went higher up, so let's just delete that for the moment. Let's look at it fresh. Looking at it again, we can see that this area right here that I anticipated the market to reach into did not happen, and after this week closed bearish, I expected some more bearish price action, more downside coming into this area with this whole retracement slash range, sideways action, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. But instead, we actually took the high of the previous week, and now we closed sort of neutral here. It's bullish for the week, but neutral overall, because the closing price was here in the middle of the candle. So I don't see this as a very bullish price action. I see it as a brief pause and then continuing to the downside, and ultimately to reach into this zone. So we're still in the retracement phase. Don't see any price action that confirms that we're continuing higher, which is what I would expect. So obviously you can't see these kind of big, strong momentum candles, and we are continuing to the downside. So I'm favoring the downside here. And because of that, what I would expect is a break of this level. And then as we break, if we break, then a pullback to get a better price, then this whole area becomes sort of a zone, if you like, something like this, if it does so. And then once we get the better price, then I'll be looking at the downside at the extreme low, which would be down here. So that's the little move on the euro pound, not that big really. If we get a break and price goes beyond this level here, which is the major structure, so we may go higher, but I don't expect it so far to break. If we do break and the market does indeed do that, can always be wrong, have to be flexible, then breaking beyond this would mean further upside, or likely further upside, and the idea to the downside to reach into here would then be invalidated. I would have to leave it out and reconsider the whole thing once again next week, because we may just be going back into this huge range that we've got up here. That's what I'm looking at. In terms of euro pound, again, not the best cleanest setup, I would say, because we are still in the middle of the range. Really want to wait for the market to do its thing and head lower within this zone before actually continuing to the upside. So because we are kind of stuck within this range, the probabilities are reduced. Don't really like trading in this kind of environment. It's not the highest of probabilities, and I prefer the A+ setups. Okay, the next one on my list is the pound yen. Once again, I'm going to have a look at the weekly, and on the weekly you can see here that we have made this swing, reached into this area that I was looking to bounce from, and we did indeed have that happen. And the next weeks here, we've got, you see these 3 up candles, 3 down candles, and the week closed bearish. Some people will see this trend line and will consider the break, but either way, it doesn't matter, because we have a weekly closure to the downside, lots of weakness, and we've broken through these previous structures to the low, so I'm expecting further downside. And with that, let's just delete all of these. And the next best price, as I can see up here, from this high to this low. And if we do get there, I would look to see a reversal price action to the next lows. Here we've got low, 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 and ultimately the low down here at 155.5. And a break above this level would be the invalidation. Just remove this. So make it cleaner. This will be an invalidation point, and I'll be looking to head lower to this extreme low, and we are well 400 and more pips away from here where we're expecting. So this is the turnaround point, and yeah, that will be, could be a nice trade with a good risk to reward. We can see here the market, every time it tries to reach higher, it collapses, tries to reach higher, collapses, and breaks the lows. And you can see as well this huge momentum to the downside. So obviously we are now with a strong yen, and we are heading lower. Well, it seems like we're heading lower. If we don't reach higher, then the other possibility, other opportunity is if the market breaks this low here and comes further down, then any pullback and a swing to then continue to the downside would be favorable in my eyes. We'll have to see how the market reacts. As always, this is just anticipation. This is just a plan for the week. We don't know what's really going to happen. So we're just going to anticipate. And if it happens, the probabilities come to our favor, then we're going to take part. And that's what I would look to do. So that was the plan. So we have the euro pound as well. Pound pairs, euro and pound news this week. Pound yen, we have pound news this week. And let's move on to another pound pair. You want to be choosing carefully which pairs you're going to trade this week. We've got pound in New Zealand. So let's just get rid of all of this, because this is clogging up the chart. It's not very tidy, not very clean. So let's have a bit of clarity on the chart. So what we can see is we had this big bullish move. We had a retracement. Here's a swing, and now we're slowly moving up to the outside. And you can see we are closing higher, higher, higher. Last week closed higher than the previous weeks as well. Bullish price action, bullish candles. So what am I expecting? Well, a continuation to the upside to at least this high, and then maybe ultimately higher as well. But for now, let's look at what we've got. So what we've got is bullish action, and if we're looking at this as the next reference point, what I'd really like to see is for the market to move higher, and then for us to engage in it. So break of the previous high, last week's high. You see some more clarity on the price action here. We are now slowly petering higher, and then if we do get that break of the high, confirming further bullish action, then what I would look for from then on would be this level at the high, a pullback to a better price, some kind of better price, then a swing and reversal in the candles, and then trading up higher into this level, which is the 2.0, the significant price level, to dead on. So that would be a major point to look for, a major point of action. So yeah, all these significant areas, significant numbers are ones to watch for, because we do have price action. The market tends to bounce around them, use them as support or resistance, or a place, basically a place to turn around from or to stall from. It's a major figure, psychological number, and many traders will be looking at that. So that is the pound New Zealand, and with this bullishness I'm going to look to continue. And the other option here, there is another possibility, and the other possibility I see is that we come down lower once again, and then with this low down here, then rip higher. So let's see if that is the case. Either way, I'll be flexible. This could be as well a range. So at the moment, I'm not sure where we're trading, where we're going to go from here. I would prefer, of course, the lower price. We could even go down as low as here. You could see this gap. And then we have, if you want to draw a fib, we could see we've haven't quite reached the 61.8. So again, if we get a nice, better price within this area with this idea, then a reversal, some kind of reversal, would be favorable, and definitely a much better price than up here, isn't it? So I want to get a cheaper price. So that's the pound New Zealand. Remembering again that we've got pound news this week. Right, move on to the next one, shall we? And the next one is WS30, Wall Street 30, or Dow, whichever name you want to give it. And here we are, something we've been looking at previously. We've got previous weeks of bearish price action. We've broken this low. I was looking for the market to reach this low. We've now reached it, and looking for the continuation to the downside. I'll remove these reference points, and this was the next reference area to trade into. So here it is, 30, about the 3900 number, something like that. And last week you could see that we did not close above the extreme high of the week before. It's kind of a neutral candle. I mean, I know it's bullish, I know it's showing a little bit more strength because it closed higher than the open price. However, it's not very significant, and because of that, I still see more weakness than strength, so to speak, in the market, or more probability for the market to move to the downside. So here was that initial area that I was looking as a reversal, and we did indeed have that. So from now on, what I'll be looking for is further price action to the downside. Now, what would that look like? Well, that would look like a break of the low, and certainly a break of the next low. So any break, then a pullback to a better price, creating a new swing, and moving to the downside would be very nice indeed. And we've got quite a lot of points here. I mean, yeah, that's a major move down to this low. And once again, looking on the weekly, if I just mark out the first zone would be here. Here's that significant low, and that would be the first point of call, because that is where we've got orders likely resting, and you can see that low, and this is the extreme low. So let's see if it gets there. I don't know if it will. What I would be expecting is a breakdown. Once I see that breakdown, that will be a nice clearer indicator, and let the price action tell us what it wants to do and how the market wants to move. But certainly a break, pullback, and then continuing to the downside would be what I would prefer in order to take a higher probability scenario. And of course, let's mark an invalidation point. So invalidation will be up here. So this extreme high, if we go above this extreme high, then this whole thing, this whole idea will be scrapped. And the next level I'll be looking at is this. Okay, up here, if we reach into there. Yeah, so at the moment it's a bit premature, a little bit unclear. We are in a sort of this kind of range. We have had this reaction of here. So if we do get a break back above, back higher, then I will just step aside, leave this market alone, and then come back and watch it again later. Only when I enter, only interested if I get a really high probability scenario play out, right? I don't want to be taking a risk. I want to be really playing according to our rules and where the probabilities favor. Okay, last but not least, as always, we're going to end up with a crypto, and in this case, going to continue on the Bitcoin outlook. And I did have still a bullish outlook on Bitcoin overall. And overall, if we look to last week's, I'm gonna waited for this drop into this level, or possibly these levels. Really wanted the lower prices, however, did not have that. The whole week just ranged. It just, as you can see, pretty much closed where we opened. We had this gap. Once again, I would still stick with the same idea. So we've got this zone right here, still gonna wait for it to drop further. And seeing as it hasn't done that yet, then I'm just gonna stick with the same analysis, and the situation hasn't really changed. Price action hasn't really given us anything more to indicate any difference in the situation or change. So the outlook is still the same. A possible drop lower, favoring of course the lower prices. I don't know if this will be the right area. We'll have to wait and see, but I do favor this one first of all, and then down here where this gap was left. I can draw a fib if you like. Probably did this last week as well. So here's the extreme high, extreme low. Here's the halfway mark. So below the halfway mark, I would wrong word. I would prefer to see price enter those areas in the discount area, the cheaper area, whatever you want to call it, before getting a turnaround. So that's where the probabilities are more favorable. So either the first one, if we get a turnaround, or the second one. And of course, better risk to reward from down here. Because, well, you can see the move up, back up to the high is a very, very significant move higher. The moment too early to tell. Just have a quick look at the daily. You can see these ranging daily candles. Looking at the weekly, you can see a very, a kind of a neutral candle, closed neutral for the week in the middle there. And then, yeah, I would expect it to to possibly come down a bit further before looking to enter. Definitely don't want to be buying this high. It's a expensive area. Don't want to be chasing the market. Let it come to us. So it's a much better way of playing it and a higher probability. Right. Those are the markets for this week. That's what we've got here. And let's see which ones play out. I would pick the ones that are clearer. Again, looking out for the news, and take your best entry, a nice good price. And otherwise, if the market doesn't come to you, then just let it be. And sometimes the train leaves the platform without you. There's always going to be another one, always another train, another bus coming along. So no worries about that. There's plenty more, and every week we have more analysis. So no rush there. If you need to, not sure, just stick your hands under your thighs and just leave them there. Don't be clicking the mouse. Don't be taking a risk. Manage your risk as always. Sometimes the best thing to do is just wait. But if the probabilities come into your favor and you do see one of these ideas play out and it's very clear, very clean, then it may be worth the shot. Okay, thanks very much for watching, guys. Look forward to speaking to you next week with some more setups. Let's see how the market plays out. My name is Dima as always, and thanks very much for watching. I'll see you again on the next one. All right, bye for now, guys.